Hi again then guys, and welcome back to a series which we put on hold some time ago because we'd run through all of the vehicles which Gran Turismo had to offer in current form in the newest games like GT6. We haven't gone back to the older games yet. We will be doing that very soon though, so stick around for that. But for now, we're moving forward in the GT Masters category, which, for those who are unfamiliar with this is a series to review all of the GT class race cars on Gran Turismo. It's a very broad category, and this will include both Group 4 and Group 3 race cars from Gran Turismo Sport, and of course other groups as well, but for the moment that's all we have access to in the beta. Now, this particular car that we're starting off with is a significant vehicle, not just because it's a new car, but because of the type of new car that it is. The vehicle is, of course, as you'll have seen from the title of the video, the McLaren 650S GT3. The 650S is a very popular exotic, people love the car, not necessarily quite as much as the 458 Ferrari GT3, but still, there's a lot of love out there for this McLaren. So why do I say that it's significant? Well, if you think about it, although we do have McLarens on the game, and we've had them on Gran Turismo since around Gran Turismo 4 officially, you could say there have been vehicles before that that have alluded to it. I believe some of the Polyphony Formula cars on various versions of Gran Turismo 3 were based on some McLarens, if memory serves, but if you're talking official McLarens being on the game, then it was Gran Turismo 4 that introduced those. We had, of course, the finer liveried BMW-powered McLaren F1 GTR, the long-tail version featured in the BMW dealership. That's where it still is to this day on Gran Turismo 6. But on newer games like GT5 and GT6, we have other McLaren race cars, notably the McLaren F1 GTR in short-tail form, the Le Mans winning version that is, and also, of course, the stealth version of the McLaren F1. But this vehicle is different. This is the first modern McLaren, modern that is in relation to the game's release, that Gran Turismo has ever had, because of course the McLaren F1 GTRs are not new cars. Even in relation to GT4, they'd already been out for some years prior. This one is relatively recent. It's a 2015 vehicle on a game which hopefully has a 2017 release date, if all goes to plan. So what do you actually get from this car? Because when you have a race car that kind of updates the lineup of a company, such as the Aston Martin Vantage GT3 or the Ferrari 458 GT3, because they represent similar things for those manufacturers on Gran Turismo, a return to form, a return to the racing world for them, you have a lot to ask from the car. You want it to deliver for the fans, but beyond that you want it to just be a good all-round race car if at all possible, while of course remaining faithful to how good the car should be. So how good is this vehicle really, and what do you get from it? Well, in base form, in the garage with peak power and the lowest weight that you can get before applying any kind of balance of performance, you're looking at a 3.8 litre, a 3799cc engine, of course mid-mounted, rear-wheel drive. It is a turbo-aspirated engine, and you're looking at 542 horsepower. So although it's called the 650S, the racing version doesn't have 650 horsepower or thereabouts. It's got more like 550. As I said, 542. And as far as torque, it's not bad. It's not remarkable, but it's not bad either. 406 foot-pounds from a smaller engine than most other McLarens, such as the 6.1 litre in the McLaren F1, is not bad. That's not bad at all. As far as weight, it's kind of in the middle. There are some other Group 3 cars which are lighter, such as the Renault RS01 or the Alfa Romeo 4C or even the Ferrari 458, but at the same time there are definitely also heavier ones, such as the Mustang, the Impreza, the Evo, and some others as well. So it nestles quite well. It's not the best, but it's definitely not the worst. As far as horsepower per tonne, it doesn't sound that high to any who have been following my series for some time at 455 horsepower per tonne, but the reason why it doesn't sound that high is because we usually review cars in their fully upgraded form. And although some people don't understand why I do that, the reason is very simple. My reviews are to allow people who don't have the money to buy every car in the game to know what kind of potential a car has when it is upgraded, without having to buy the car and spend the roughly 250,000 credits on GT6 to upgrade every single vehicle. So what I do allows you to see what kind of potential that car has. For the moment, we don't know that with the beta. We have very limited tuning options on the game, and with balance of performance, on an oval circuit for instance, you're looking at almost 800 horsepower, so it varies wildly, but in standard form, you're looking at 455 horsepower per tonne, which isn't too bad. That's similar to many of the other cars in the category of Group 3, which is what you'd want it to be. You don't want it to be too high, or at the same time, of course, too low. Now, PP points are not in the game, of course, it's just broad categories instead, and it's kind of a better way of doing things, because there are definitely better or worse cars in each category, but it still allows for some variation. They're not all exactly the same. And as far as price goes, well, just like all the other vehicles in the closed beta, we don't know how much they're going to cost. So there's no point really in speculating, because Gran Turismo games change their prices all the time. Cars which cost multiple millions on GT4 have now been reduced to less than $1 million on GT6, and vice versa. Some vehicles increase in price. So what then about ability? It's a McLaren, so the bar is very high. What people expect from the car is a lot. When you bring out something like an Impreza race car, or an Evo, or a Mustang, people's hopes are measured. You don't expect it to be the best car in the game. When you bring out, though, something like a 458, or a McLaren 650S, people expect a lot more from that car. It would be like if a Veyron showed up and didn't win. That's kind of surprising if you're talking straight line performance. In a similar way around a track, McLarens have a name for being competitive, and for good reason. They have always been competitive in the Le Mans, in Grand Prix, in GT Series, even in Super GT in Japan. And overall, I would say that the 650S is a very strong all-round Group 3 car. It's not necessarily the best, but it's definitely top 5, at least within the beta. It has similar handling characteristics to something like the Ferrari 458, the fact that it is, of course, mid-engine, rear-wheel drive, similar kind of size, similar kind of shape, and the weight and power are, as you'd expect, similar, but it's a little bit slipperier than some of the others, such as the Mercedes SLS or the AMG GT, or even something like the Impreza or the Evo Group 3 cars. You'd expect that from a McLaren, and one of the biggest advantages that the car offers, I would say at least, is the sharpness of the steering. The front end on this car is relatively loose, but in a good way, which allows you to throw it into the corner. It's got very sharp steering, which helps on oval tracks, and it is often one of the quicker vehicles on tighter technical circuits as well. But that's it overall for this particular episode. I'll see you guys next week with another Gran Turismo Sport race car review, and I'll see you next time. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.